Hey guys, you got Ace here, and welcome to week 1 of the Hive. We face against Jake of the Virginia Tech Froakies. Definitely one of my best friends in the league format, in the league community in general. I've known him ever since I started leagues. Well, I met him in like the first league I was in, which is pretty crazy that I'm still doing leagues with him today. But yeah, I built my team mostly based on how I know Jake preps. Like, I know he likes to bring a lot of berries. I know he plays very much balanced teams. He likes to have switch-ins to things rather than trying to check things offensively. So I can sort of tailor my prep to be able to beat that kind of playstyle. The draft Jake has some offensive threats, but I think in general I have a very good matchup against him. He has some mons that have good matchups against me too. Like, I think Doug Trio has a very solid matchup against me, as well as Salamence and Nidoqueen have very solid matchups. Like, Nidoqueen's dual stabs can just run through my team. So, like, his dual stabs cover every single mon at least neutrally on my team. That don't have anything like Skarm or anything to be able to absorb its hits. So his draft is Weavile, Salamence, Nidoqueen, Metagross, Serena, Hawlucha, Gramble, Licky Licky, Doug Trio, Mega Blastoise, and Ditto. So the thing about the Hive is that any mon is able to use offensive Z moves, and his status Z move user is Doug Trio, but his mons being able to use offensive Z moves is definitely very threatening for me, because Z Weavile with Black Hole Eclipse especially can deal a lot to ZARD, which in most cases would be able to counter Weavile. And it can also have, Z Low Kick going for all-out pummeling on my Miltank, which is one of my other defensive checks to Weavile. And then Z Salamence also can run either Z Fly to deal with Dhelmise, Z Earthquake to deal with Jirachi, or Z Stone Edge to deal with Togekiss, or Z Iron Tail, either one. But I'll go through the team I brought today. This team, the first mon on my team is Mega Charizard X. It has a very solid matchup against his team. Once I'm able to get up a Dragon Dance, I can pretty much win the game, except for possibly a Scarf Dougie, but I am invested to be able to take an Earthquake from a non-invested Doug Trio. Well, not non-invested, non-boosting item Doug Trio. So I am 248 HP with 80 in defense, 100 in Spadef, and 80 in speed, with an impish nature. I am running enough speed to be able to outspeed all of his threats after Dragon Dance. I'll be able to outspeed Weavile and Doug Trio. And then the 100 Spadef is to be able to not get 2 KO'd by a modest max special attack Blastoise's Scald. So I can set up on that too if that's his defensive check. And if he does not have Dragon Pulse, which I'll have to scout for by switching to Togekiss. Sorry about that, I got a little bit of throat issues this week. I noticed my voice is a little bit lower than usual, but the moves I have are Dragon Claw, Flare Blitz, Dragon Dance, Roost. Will-O-Wisp didn't seem too necessary this week since his physical threats don't do enough to me anyways. Like, his only ground stab is faster than me, so, well, his only ground stab is either faster than me with Doug Trio, which I would just want a Dragon Claw anyway, or special with Nidoqueen. So, no point in Will-O-Wisp, and then dual stabs just hit everything neutrally, and I'm able to do decent damage to everything on his team. So that's Charizard. Definitely should be able to put in work this match. I'm going to use it more as a late game sweeper, because I do have other walls that I can use to wall his threats, so I don't have to commit this one too early. Second mon I have is actually a Scarf Jirachi. I harp on other people a lot for bringing Scarf Jirachi because I don't think it's the best set usually, but I had a very specific reason for bringing Scarf Jirachi. The team I built is very weak to Dragon Dance Salamence if I didn't bring Scarf Jirachi. But with Scarf Jirachi, if I don't expect him to go for an Earthquake right away, like, I don't think he would go for an Earthquake because my obvious switch into Salamence is Togekiss. So if I'm able to get in on either its Dragon Dance or its Dragon move, I'll be able to outspeed the next turn I am expecting an Adamant Salamence if it were to come. Obviously it didn't, as you can see, but either way, I'll be able to outspeed Adamant Salamence and Oko it with Ice Punch. So the set is Choice Scarf, Max Attack, Adamant, Max Speed, 4 in defense, Ice Punch, Healing Wish, Iron Head, and U-Turn. I obviously don't deal with all threats with this mon, like obviously Mega Blastoise and still come in and deal a bunch to me. But I do have Healing Wish to heal mons like ZARD and Delmise back to full health, and then U-Turn to get momentum if he wants to switch around this, Predicting Scarf or anything like that. Third mon I have is actually an offensive Togekiss. I had better like defensive checks to his threats than Togekiss, but Togekiss' typing let me switch around Mega Blastoise much easier. His Mega Blastoise doesn't have much reason to run Ice Punch, not Ice Punch, Ice Beam this week. It would really only be for Togekiss, and he has a bad case of 4 move slot syndrome with Mega Blastoise, because he'll want to run Rapid Spin just to remove hazards. He'll want to run Scald to just have general stab. He'll want to run Dragon Pulse for Mega Charizard X. He'll want to run HP Grass for Gastrodon. He'll want to run Aura Sphere for Miltank, and he'll want Dark Pulse for Delmise. So he has a lot of moves that he could run. So Togekiss lets me scout every single move, pretty much. Like, I'm not too KO by Scald. I should be able to outspeed most Blastoises. I expect him to be mostly defensive or very bulky, at least, to be able to take hits from Zard well. So my set is Fire MZ, actually. I wanted to be able to outspeed and Oko a Rocks Metagross. I want to come in on me. So I have Air Slash, Fire Blast, Encore, and Roost. This lets me beat a non-offensive Nidoqueen lead. I know Jake likes to run, Black Sludge, Hazard Stacking Nidoqueen, so I'll be able to Air Slash that. If I flinch him, then he'll probably want to go for an attack, so I can switch right out to Gastrodon. If I don't flinch him, he'll probably go for Rocks. I can Encore him into Rocks and get off another big Air Slash on something. His flying resists are pretty much only Metagross, and I have the Fire MZ for that, so should be able to put a lot of offensive pressure on his team and be able to scout Blastoise's coverage really well with this. So next mon I have is Gastrodon. It has a very solid matchup. It's able to switch into a lot of his special threats very well, like Blastoise and Nidoqueen, which are mons that he is for sure bringing, because Nidoqueen has such great offensive stabs against my draft, and Blastoise deals with Zard X pretty well. So my set is pretty standard with Scald, Toxic, Ice Beam, Recover. Toxic for mons like Mega Blastoise, for mons like Licky, and Ice Beam so Salamence can't set up on me, and Scald for general stab. Scald hits most of his team pretty well, like either neutrally or super effective, and I can just Toxic the resists. So I'm mostly specially defensive. I'm able to take Dark Pulses from Blastoise with ease and just recover up on them, even if I switch into Rocks and a Dark Pulse and he flinches me on the next one, I can still recover on the one after that. But I will have to switch out to Togekiss to scout for HP Grass Blastoise, because neither Dark Pulse nor HP Grass are effective on Togekiss, so I'll be able to go for Air Slashes on the following turn. So the same as with Nidoqueen, if it has HP Grass or really any way to hit Gastrodon. Like, I know Jake likes to run some heat sets, deal with mons like that, maybe. I don't know. But he'll try to deal with Gastrodon in some way, and I can switch out to Togekiss to scout for random grass coverage that may come. Because grass coverage in general is just awful against my team. The only mons on my team that don't resist grass are like Ambipom, Gastrodon, and Miltank. It's pretty crazy, and it's not super effective on any mons on my team except Gastrodon. So as Gastrodon this week, definitely we'll be able to put in a lot of work, toxicking all his threats and being able to switch into things very nicely. And fifth mon I brought is fully Fizz-Def Miltank. Jake, when he drafts Weavile, I know for sure he likes to bring it to every single match. Pretty much every single match. So even though it has an awful matchup this time with ZARD X and Miltank, he's still gonna bring it. So I am max defense to be able to switch it to Weavile super well. With Stealth Rock, Milk Drink, Seismic Toss, which hits his entire team since he doesn't have a Ghost type, and Heal Bell. So Heal Bell was sort of a last minute addition. I originally had Toxic over Heal Bell, but I decided that if he brings a more stally team like he tends to do, then he'll probably have Toxic Lickilicky or Toxic Gramble or Thunderwave Ramble, something to deal the status ZARD X and be able to deal with it better that way. So I decided to slap Heal Bell on Miltank and just be able to Toxic things with Gastrodon. Look at the threats that pressure Miltank are handled by Gastrodon, so I can be able to switch into those threats and Toxic them on the following turn. So that's the Miltank set. Pretty standard, but puts in a lot of work against him. The last one I have is actually an Adamant Banded Delmise. His grass resists are like Salamence, and that's pretty much it. Like Salamence and Metagross. His ghost resists are Weavile and Lickilicky. And his steel resists are Metagross and Blastoise. So he has very few resists to any of my moves. And if I'm able to take out Metagross early game with Togekiss' Z Fire Blast, then you still won't have a resist for Power Whip or Anchor Shot. So I said his Shadow Claw, Power Whip, Rapid Spin, Anchor Shot. He has no switch-ins to this mon at all. And I can take pretty much any hit from any mon on his team except like a Dark Pulse or for Blastoise or either Weavile's Stabs. So I can come in on mons like, for example, I can come in on Doug Trio and get a big hit off on his team. I can come in on like Lickilicky, Gramble, Hawlucha, depending if it has flying coverage or not. It might, looking at the matchup. Serena, Metagross, even Nidoqueen I can come in on, because Delmise has decent natural special bulk. Salamence, like all of those mons I can come in on and just get a huge amount of damage off with Shadow Claw or Power Whip or Anchor Shot on his entire team. And Rapid Spin, if he for some reason wants to stack hazards on me with Nidoqueen, I'll be able to Rapid Spin those away. That would be fine like that. So let's get into the match. As you can see, he didn't bring Salamence, which is huge relief to me, since since Salamence is able to effectively set up on Miltank very well, and I really only answered him just clicking Dragon Dance turn 1 on Miltank is to go hard Jirachi and hope he's not Jolly. So I'm glad to see no Salamence, and I do see no Metagross as well, which means Togekiss' Fire MZ probably won't be as useful, since it doesn't hit any mon except Weavile on his team super effectively, and I would rather just go for Air Slashes to get flinches. So I'm not liking what he brought. I mean, I like that he didn't bring Salamence, but I don't like that he didn't bring Metagross, since I'm very prepped for Metagross. So I decide to lead with Gastrodon, because looking at his team, he doesn't really have a single mon that threatens Gastrodon offensively very well. Like, Weavile can deal like 60 to me with a knock, which is like the worst possible lead, especially if I don't get a Skull Burn. But it can't kill me on the following turn, so I can just recover up on it. Well, it can't kill me with Icicle Crush, so I would need to recover. And then he'd be faring HP fighting or something to that degree. So I'm just going to lead Gastrodon, because I beat almost everything on his team 1v1 with it, except like HP Grass Blastoise, which I am expecting. So I lead Gastrodon as he leads Nidoqueen. This is great for me because I'll be getting off a big amount of damage if he does decide to go for rocks. Be able to get off a Scald, so I just go for Scald here. He doesn't have a resist, well, his only resist to Scald is Blastoise, which I can just Toxic on the following turn. So I just go for a Scald here, as he switches out to Lickilicky. I can just Toxic this, but I don't want this mon to be Toxic so early in the game. I don't want to have to reveal Heal Bell on Miltank just yet. And I do expect him to just go for a Toxic here. So I'd rather have a Toxic on Miltank than have a Toxic on Gastrodon. So I switch out to Miltank. another reason for switching out to Miltank rather than just going for Toxic is to get up my rocks, and rocks are very important against him since his only remover is Blastoise, and I'd rather have that thing going for Rapid Spin, losing him momentum, than going for Dark Pulse and gaining him momentum. So I just go for rocks as he switches out to Nidoqueen. Here I expect him to go for rocks because Gastrodon is such an obvious switch in, and I might just want to even to stay in, and like he might think I might just stay in and go for EQ, which he can take, but it wouldn't, like, if I'm like decently offensive, it might like 2KO him. So I expect him to just try to get up his hazards here, and because hazards are a better punish for the switch to Gastro than Earth Power is. So I go out to Delmise because I can take any one hit from Modest, Life Orb, Nidoqueen, like even an Ice Beam I can take. So expecting rocks, I switch right out to Delmise. Just wanted to get off a Banded Power Whip on something because it just guaranteed OHKOs everything on his team except Ramble, which cannot threaten me on the following turn. I can just go for another Power Whip and take it out. I just got out to Delmise predicting rocks as he goes for Earth Power, which is great for me because I don't die to Sludge Wave. I'm not, like, I do die to Ice Beam. I'm not predicting him to have Ice Beam though, because looking at team matchup, it just hits nothing very hard on my team at all. It really only hits Delmise and Togekiss super effectively, and Delmise can just go for Sludge Wave, and Togekiss can just go for Sludge Wave. So I'm expecting him to have like either a move, like a Heat move to deal with Gastrodon, or Toxic Spikes in that last slot. So his set would be like Earth Power, Sludge Wave, Stealth Rock, Toxic Spikes, or Earth Power, Sludge Wave, Stealth Rock, Taunt, or something like that. He ended up having Taunt as his last move. He did tell me after the match. So he just goes for Sludge Wave. I live, and if I land this Power Whip, then it will almost guaranteed OHKO this Nidoqueen, because I did calc and he was timid, which means he probably doesn't have much bulk. So I get the Power Whip, and Nidoqueen just drops. And this is huge, because now my Miltank can't really be pressured by his team. The only mon left that can pressure Miltank is Mega Blastoise, and that'll be forced to come in and take rocks damage every time. And I can still scout for Mega Blastoise's coverage by just going right into Togekiss. So this is great for me. As he just goes right into Dugtrio, thinking he can trap me. I think Jake kind of forgot that you can't trap a ghost type here, but this just allows me to switch right back into Miltank. Just get off some Seismic Toss damage on his team. So he just goes into Licky as I'm able just to Seismic Toss it. And now, I kind of want to Toxic this Licky, but I do S-Toss first and just try to get some damage on him. He predicts, I guess, Jirachi here, because I'm able to take Jirachi's, immune to Toxic. I'm able to take the Toxic and then flinch him down on the following turns. So he tries to predict that and go for EQ. I mean, if I was defensive Jirachi, I would have taken it really easily anyway, but I do understand why he would have EQ though, because if I am a sub ZARD X, then I'd be any variant of Miltank barring Earthquake. So he is kind of forced to have Earthquake on the set. So I eat that. I can just go. So expecting him to wish here because he does die to 2 more S-Tosses. I just go out into Togekiss and be able to just go for Air Slashes to flinch him down. He doesn't have a resist to Air Slash left on his team, but he does get a Toxic off. I hadn't seen Toxic on turns before that, so it's nice to see that he does have Toxic, which means that I do know his full moveset now. He probably has Wish Protect, and then Toxic EQ, or maybe normal coverage over Protect. But this does let me just Encore him into Toxic here. And I do sort of expect him to keep going for Toxic here, because like my Togekiss can't do a ton to this Licky. Like Air Slash isn't doing a ton to this, and he does have leftovers. Dang, my coughs are getting out of control. Anyway, I am expecting him to just keep going for Toxic here, because my Air Slashes aren't doing a lot, and he'd be wearing me down to Toxic damage, and if I decide to switch, he'd get a Toxic on something else. But I guess he predicts Jirachi here because it's immune to Toxic. But what I do is I actually want to go back into Delmise because Delmise can still live one turn of poison, Toxic Poison, because Toxic Poison on the first turn only does 6%. So, and Delmise is at 9%, and then I can just go for another Banded Power Whip and just Oko something else on his team. So I just go into Delmise here, as I sort of expect him to keep going for Toxic, as he just goes out into Gramble, which is sort of an interesting play in my point of view, because if I went out into Jirachi there, you take the Toxic, then Gramble wouldn't have made sense as a double. So, kind of strange play to me. Like I thought either his play was going to be going for Toxic again, or going out into Dugtrio or Blastoise or something that can deal with Jirachi. But he goes into Gramble. I want to see if this thing outspeeds me. Well, I actually just keep Delmise around. I'm not creeping this Gramble really, because I wanted to have the bulk be able to take hits from Nidoqueen. And I think maybe I can spin block Blastoise later on the sack. So that way I'll be able to keep rocks up guaranteed. So I just wow, my throat is dying today. Anyway, so I just got into Miltank. I can take T-Waves and just Heal Bell. I can do a lot of things. He just T-Waves me. So I am able to Heal Bell on the following turn, as he goes out into Lickilicky. At this point, I just want this Lickilicky Toxic, since I'm going to be sitting here with Miltank for a long time, and I want it to be taking damage. So go out into Gastro. He'll want to Toxic this since it walls this whole team. As he does just go for that, and I'm able to Toxic him as well. And since I noticed that already, I know he's not Heal Bell. So I can just go right back into Miltank and heal the Toxic off on Gastrodon. As he makes a great play and goes right out into Blastoise. So now my Miltank is threatened out, and I can't heal Gastrodon's Toxic. But what I can do is just go right into Delmise and spin block his Rapid Spin, and then just sack it off on the following turn. Wow, my coughing is out of control. Sorry guys. I can just go into Togekiss here. I should be able to outspeed this. And he has no flying resist left. I can just go for Air Slashes, try to flinch him down a little bit. He switches out, not realizing that's what I want to do. I can just go for Air Slashes and flinch this thing down. I'll just let that play out for a while. He does get a Toxic off on this last turn, which is a bit unfortunate for me, but yeah, I do have the Heal Ball and Miltank to heal that. So he goes into Dugtrio again. He could go for Stone Edge here, which is why I just go into Miltank, I believe, as he doubles into Blastoise and catches my Miltank switch in. But I can just go into Gastrodon on the following turn, take his Rapid Spin. I'll be able to take any hit from him, even an HP Grass I can take. He ends up just having Dark Pulse, and I'm able to Toxic the Blastoise as well. This means I can now just wear it down just from switching around. I can go back into Togekiss and just roost all this thing until it's dead to Toxic. As he does end up just having the Scald over the Ice Beam, which is fine. I believe it is his most damaging move on a regular Fairy type, after I've roosted and removed the Flying type. So he goes into Weavile here. Right now I don't know his set. I could go into Miltank and risk the Titanium Z or something like that, and that wouldn't be good for me. I do have Scarfrachi in the back to revenge this regardless of its set. But I just want to sack this Togekiss because I don't want to play risky around this. I want to make sure I win the game with Scarfrachi. So I click Z Fire Blast here, just sacking this Togekiss off because it doesn't really put him working against Dugtrio. It's already super low, and Gramble might be able to kill me. I'm already Toxic. I click Z Fire Blast here as he goes for a Swords Dance, so be able to just catch him right there. So that's nice for me. Able to preserve a little bit of differential right there. I guess just let the rest of the game play out because it's pretty obvious what I'm gonna do. Just go to Miltank, and Miltank walls the rest of his team. Just wear the rest of his team down with seismic tosses. So that's a good game to Jake. Sorry about all my coughing. Pretty insane. I've had some throat issues over the past week, but hopefully you guys are okay with that. Good game to Jake. It was a fun match and fun match to prep for. I know he didn't have the best matchup going in, but it was cool anyway. So we do start off with a nice and powerful. This is a 4-0 because it does get some para hacks with the T-Wave on Gramble, but we do start off with a nice solid win. I know I was number 10 in the power rankings for my draft somehow. This shouldn't bump us up maybe to number 8 at least. I know the analyst Halu doesn't really like me all too much, but we'll see what happens with that. So see you guys next time for week 2 of the Hive. Should be going up in a week, maybe a little bit more than that depending on when I battle. But I will see you guys then. I'll just let the rest of this play out. He did end up being Scarf Dougie, which deals with +1 ZARD. It's a very good set on his part there. That was brought against me in a mock by Ian. Thanks to Ian, by the way, for the mock. It was very useful. But, yeah, that's the battle. Alright, see you guys next week.